Today I want to talk about love and what love looks like with a narcissist. And when we think about love and talk about what love is, what it looks like between two people who know each other and trust each other, this ends up being very different in a relationship with a narcissist. And the reason why it's so different is because the narcissist has lied to you about who they are. And this usually, in most cases, happens in the beginning of the relationship or beginning of the marriage until they end up over time of grooming you and deceiving you, they reveal who they truly are. And so I think this is really important to address because especially when we're in a long-term committed relationship with a narcissist, you want to try and rationalize their behavior, and they've groomed you to do this, right? Over time, they've groomed you to try and rationalize and justify their behavior so they can get away with all that they do. However, once you learn that this person isn't who you thought they were or who you imagined they were or who they said they were for so long, or all the lies that they've fed you, causing you to believe something different than what they're showing you, what happens is you are filled with so much confusion around this that it makes it difficult for you to see clearly the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is that that person is not who you really fell in love with. And so we have to come to a place of acceptance that this person isn't the person that we fell in love with. And I'm talking about in most cases, because I know there are some cases where they are honest about who they are up front, and sometimes we just attract what we were familiar with growing up. And so this person was never really good to us from the beginning, and I've been in relationships like that as well, one in particular, and you knew that this is what you were signing up for, and that's what love was to you because that's all you were taught. But I'm talking about in cases of where you've been deceived clearly by this person. They are a true narcissist that has purposely deceived you, manipulated you, coerced you into believing in something that isn't real, that isn't true to who they really are. And so now that you've discovered this, all of the confusion and everything that surrounds this is so difficult to sift through. And so that's why I'm sitting here with you in this, talking about this with you, because it's something that we need to work through. It's something that we need to make sense of, and we need to understand based on truth, based on reality, because they have stolen that from us over time, right? They have distorted reality, distorted our reality, distorted the truth of what is really going on, the way that they treat us, the way that they claim to love us but show us so differently, and just down to the basic core of who they really are. So we have to be honest about that first and foremost, and then come to accept that this person isn't the person that we really love. Because if you saw this person in raw form for who they really were in the beginning, would you have chosen them? Would you have loved them for who they are? Because that's ultimately what love is. Love is accepting someone for who they really are. My husband used to say this a lot before we got married. He said, you can't love someone that you want to change, right? So that makes so much sense, doesn't it? It's like, how can you love someone that you want to be different, that you want to change? And in these narcissistic relationships, marriages, we want the narcissist to change. So you have to be true to yourself about that and go, I want this person to be different because they are truly horrible to me, abusive to me. I don't want them being this way, but this is who they are. So accepting that, coming to terms with that, and then on top of it, coming to terms with the fact that this person isn't who we really want and choose to love. Because when we choose to love someone like that, it's almost like selling your soul to the devil, you know? Do you want to surrender yourself in love to someone who is going to abuse you and harm you? I don't think most people willingly do that in abusive relationships. I think that they have been manipulated to believe and continue to believe that this person isn't who they're really showing us that they are. And so then they continue to lie to you and future fake with you and make promises that they're never going to follow through on long term. And so then we continue in this same cycle, this typical cycle of abuse, right? The love bombing, the devaluation, the discarding, and then the hoovering. And they can do this over and over again within the same relationship with the same person. And there's so many ways that they do this. And so it's the continuous cycle of believing in an illusion, in a false reality, something that isn't really there. And that's right where they want us, because that's how they're able to control us. So like I shared about love, and my husband saying, you can't love someone that you want to change. It just doesn't add up. And I know that you didn't choose that in the beginning of the relationship. I know that you thought this person was someone else. And so because of that, you chose to love someone in the harsh reality that didn't truly exist. And I must say that is, I think, the hardest thing to come to grips with, because you have to realize that it was like a dream that you suddenly woke up from abruptly into a real life nightmare. And so when we find ourselves in this situation and we realize and see it for what it truly is, I think that's where we have to make the hard decision of how we move forward and how we can choose to move out of an environment and situation like this. And I think because of the way that the narcissist has trained us to be, we are so incredibly hard on ourselves in feeling guilty and feeling shame for the time and the energy and the investment that we've made in this person and in this relationship, and hoping for a very different outcome. And so then we feel that we have a loyalty to this person, that we need to remain loyal and faithful to them in all of these ways that they've convinced us that we must, despite their horrible behavior. And that's the next step that we need to take, is moving away from that shame, moving away from that guilt, and fully taking responsibility for ourselves and choosing something different. And so just like the phrase, now that you know better, do better. Well, there is no shame in choosing to move out of a relationship that was a lie, and not a lie based on anything that you did, but based on what the narcissist forced you to believe because of their manipulation. And that is not your fault. And something I say to victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse all the time is the shame belongs to them, the responsibility and accountability belongs to them when it comes to what they have done to you. It's no longer yours to carry. But what is yours to carry is how you choose healing for yourself, to choose recovery from the trauma that you've endured. And that's what we are responsible for. And that is what I encourage women to seek, because God does not want you in a life sentence of abuse. He does not want you continuing to love someone living in darkness, living in evil, and with evil intentions behind nearly everything that they do. So no matter how good it might appear when they're painting the picture for you, you know the truth. You've seen the result time and time again with this person. And God does not want you continuing to sign your life off to that. He is calling you back to Him. He is calling you out of the darkness and into His glorious light. And He will use all of it for His glory and your good. I hope this video was helpful, and if you like it, please hit like, subscribe to this channel, and you'll see more videos like this. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching or counseling, please fill out the inquiry form on my website at promisecoaching.com. Take care.